we are discussing about the HANA DB administration part. As part of the HANA DB administration part, HANA installation prerequisites, hardware and software requirements. Then we discussed about the studio, how to add the systems and studio level, OS level file systems, HANA licensing, and so some other things we discussed, right? Tables and everything, right? So now, so same in the HANA Studio. So HANA Studio will discuss about the some other studio admin other related administration activities in the studio level here. So everybody please use the HDB for your daily practice purpose. Okay. So here, so catalog, under the catalog we have the schemas, under the schema we have the tables are available, under the schemas are available here. That's what we discussed, right? So here actual data will be available under the catalog. Under the catalog we have the schema. So under the schema we have the so under the schema we have the tables are available. So in this table we have the data. In this table we have the data here. So here in this data table data we can do the analysis of the data as well here. So that's what we discussed, right? Apart from that, this catalog, so there is some other folders also available here. Some other folders also available, that is called the content. Content is for the, so especially for the development side here. It's not related to the our admin work. It's a development work here. So the developers, the modelers, normally HANA developers, we will call it as the modelers. So they will do the some development. They will create the some privileges. They will merge the tables. So they will create the packages. They will create the analytical packages, calculation views, procedures. So they will create it here. It's purely development related activities and everything here, right? It's not the our related activities and everything, development related activities here, right? So the next one is like a provisioning here, right? Provisioning, this is purely us only here. We have to deal this one here. This is only development, remaining activities and everything we have to work on that part here, right? Provisioning part here, provisioning here. So what is mean by provisioning concept here? Provisioning, so provisioning means smartly it will use the smart data access concept. Smartly we can access the data from the other remote sources here. So suppose example, so you have the HANA database here, right? There is a one landscape, you have the HANA database here, SAP HANA database here, but at the same time you have the, so there is a one other database also. You have some SQL server, Oracle, so DB2, MaxDB, some other HANA database you have in the other landscape here, right? So you can create the remote connection to the your HANA database here. Then with single access, single user can log into the HANA database. Single user, they can access the all the remote database data. They can access it here smartly. They can access the remote system data to in this HANA database here, right? So that's possible. So that's why we have the provisioning concept. We can provision the data from other databases. So he no node. Suppose like he want to all the data. Suppose sometimes the developers require the data from the other databases also. In that case, you need to log into the this database. You need to log into this database, this database, this database, and this database. You need to log into the multiple sources database. Then you will do the integrate, you will add the tables, merging, that kind of activities you will perform. In that case, you need access to the all the databases, then passwords to reset it, then you need to log into the all the databases, you need to pull the all the tables data, all the each and every database, you need to merge it. So there is a lot of time it will take. Instead of that, if we can use the data provisioning activity, he can log into the HANA database, then he can pull the all the databases data simply. He can pull the all the databases data, very simply you can pull it out here by using the data provisioning concept. By using the data provisioning concept, you can pull it out. That's the thing here, right? So here what we have to do, we need to create the remote connection to the your source database. Then we can pull the tables, you can whatever the data you can access it here without copying the data from here to here. Directly you can access the data from so your this HANA database. That's called the smart data access here. For this creation, you need to create the one remote connection. You need to create it here, the target database here, remote connection. So the source like a you can connect to the multiple either ASC database, Teradata, IQ, HANA, Hadoop, Oracle, SQL, DB2. So any database you can connect it. These are the source. The only thing is on the source the driver either ODBC or JDBC driver should be installed. That should be installed here, right? So then we can connect it here. Then we can connect to the target. We can connect to the database here. That's what we can do it here, right? So here the same concept here. So we can connect it ASC Teradata. If we have the multiple sources are there here, so then you can connect to the any one of the source connection, you can connect it here. But I don't think we have the ASC Teradata, we don't have the databases. Then HANA to HANA also we can connect it. HANA to HANA also we can use it here, right? So I'm going to connect to the one more HANA databases. One more HANA databases we are going to connect it here, right? So that database, so suppose like example MCD database, MCD, okay, MCD to HDB. So there is a source name I'm creating here, the server name, the server details we need to provide it here, server details here. So means one source on a database to this source on a database you are creating the data. So those are server either IP address or host name we need to provide it. Other host name also you can provide it. The port number 3, the port number 3 instance number, the SQL port number, the SQL port number we have to provide it here. So here what is the port number for this one? 40. Okay, so then username, which database data you want to provision it here. Suppose like, so there is a one user, just to click on the remote connection created, but there is a connection refused. Cannot connect to the connection refused here, right? Connection failure. You can see here. So connection failure. So which means authentication failed. Now connection is okay. The password is wrong. So now we need to change the username to yes. Now see, remote connection create updated and remote connection established here. One new connection got created here. One new connection got created to the target S4. Now you are in the NCD HDB, then you are connected to the target one of the database here, source database here, right? So now this is a source database. Just to expand it here, this database, you can expand it here. So you will see the list of tables here. You will see the list of schemas and the tables of the data. Which tables you want to create as a remote connection here? Which tables you want to create as a remote connection here? So then you can create the remote connection to the respective tables here. Which tables, which data, which one. So then you can create as a remote connection here, virtual table. So then select it. What is your favorite tables or which tables do you have a requirement? That table we can create it here, right? So then, so you got the schema access, right? You got the schema access, right? You connected to the so database. You got the schema remote connection you created. This is the source database data. Did you connect to the source database? No. So by using the HDB, you are connected to the source database data. Means you are accessing the source database data. You are accessing here, right? So then now what you can do, you can create as a virtual tables, right? You can create as a with right click and add as a virtual table here. Add as a virtual table here. Then the table got created. Virtual table got added to the schema here. So just whatever the tables you want to add it, the tables data you can add as a virtual table, right? The table you can add as a virtual table here, right? So this what we can do it in the systems here. There are the number of tables, so that you can access it here. Add as a virtual table, right? You add as a virtual tables, that is done, right? So now virtual means so the table not exist in your database, but virtually you can access it here, right? Now you can go to the your catalog and system and tables, right? So you can see the your date your tables list, your source system tables list here. This is the source system tables list here. So you can see the different color, different symbol here, right? The internal table, that symbol is like a table name. The virtual tables, this tables from the different database, different connections, right? So here it is created virtually, it is got created here. So then right click and you can access the tables data. You can access it here. The tables data, you can access the tables data from here itself. You can access it here. So that's possible here, right? So that's the thing here, right? Which means you can create as a remote connection. You can create as a remote connection here like this, right? So then the table you can add to the your existing system as a virtual table. So you can access once the connection is created, just you can try and access it here. How you are accessing the your internal table, same way you can access the your outside remote sources tables also, you can access it here, right? This is the concept of the data provisioning. Means you can pull the data from source databases to your existing HANA database. Means with a single login, you can just pull the data of the source databases, those source data you can view it here. That's the concept of the data provisioning. Okay, so which means first of all we need to create the virtual tables. So first of all we need to have the source system details, like so whether the source system is the HANA or Oracle or DB2 or ASC. Then we can create a remote connection. That connection username, password, the host server details, either IP or so port number you required, right? Then you can connection is established once, then you can you can add the table as a virtual table. Then you can simply you can access the data anytime. You can access the data here. That's the thing here. That is the virtual table concept here, right? So here you can see here the remote sources here, the smart data access. So you are selecting the select statements are queries. The queries are executing here remote sources. So here you can see the connection monitoring, how the connections are creating, how the which user, which tables data, which schema. So all the connection is established. The status, you can see the status connected, connected, connected here, right? So all the information we can see it here, right? This one is copying the data using the select statements. It is copying the data from the source system here, source, using the connection MCD to HDB. So these connections are established here, right? That is called the data provisioning, provisioning the data from the remote sources. Okay, that is called the provisioning concept. So now security, right? Security concept here. So what is mean by security? HANA security. Security definitely it's important to the HANA database levels here. Why? Because in a database level, we are storing the most finance data, critical data, confidential data, organizational data, either any one of the data we are storing in the database level. So security is the one of the important aspect here. Security is the one of the important thing for the databases or application. Even our mobile only, we are keeping the fingerprint mechanisms, user ID password. So right, face recognition, the many security features available there. We are using the one of the them, one of the feature we are using to secure the our phone data and everything here. Similarly, HANA database also there the multiple security mechanisms are there. Multiple security mechanisms are there in the HANA database level here. So why? Because in the data applications will store the data, applications will store the data in database level. So here security, HANA security is a crucial part for protecting the sensitive data here, right? Sensitive data. So by giving the access to the HANA database level means you have to carefully so check and provide the authorizations to the users, right? Normally users they don't require access to the database level. Only application level they need access. Only as a IT team, either we or developers require the access to the database level here, right? Why? Because we are the administrator to manage the databases. Developers are the developers, so they will do the some development of the applications and everything here. So that's purpose we need a security concept here, right? HANA is a role-based security. HANA is a role-based security here. Role-based security means HANA is a role-based security, which means by creating the roles, by assigning the roles, user can able to access the respective security tasks, respective security tab here, right? So it's a crucial part. Security is a crucial for protecting the sensitive data. Sensitive data here, sensitive data. So in the HANA database, if you see here, so we can create the users. We can create the users. By default, we have the system user. Everybody using the system user to log into the HANA database level. But that's not the case here. You should not use the system user. Why? Because system user is for it contains the all the authorizations you can access, you can do anything from the database level. So I am also using the system user, you guys also using the system user. Someone delete something, someone do something, so how can we track it here? Everybody using the system user only, right? So that's why we need a individual users, and the users related roles also we have to create it here. The user related, the roles we have to create it here, right? That's the main thing here. The user related roles we have to create it here, right? So the user related roles, which means every user, right? Every user which they have to perform the respective tasks, right? So that's the reason. So we need to create a roles. The roles we have to assign to the users here. The roles we have to you provide create the roles and users here, right? So here SAP HANA provides, there are the security related, there are the multiple security features in your mobile phone. How we have the multiple security features here? you. So like password, drop pattern, fingerprints, and face recognition. So like that, we have the multiple security features are available, right? Same as like here, HANA also there is a user and role management related feature here, user and role management here, right? Then authorization here, authorization, authentication, authentication, encryption of, encryption of, so data layer, persistency layer, then encryption of network layer, so network layer. So these are the multiple security features are available in the HANA database level here, right? So one is the user and role management here, right? So in the HANA, we want to log into the HANA database level, you need a user, and so user and password is required, right? So definitely, if you want to log into the HANA database level, if you expand it, they are the already default users which will come as part of the installation. These are the default users are already available here. So then right click on here, click on the create the new user here, technical user. Then we can create the user here, right? Suppose example, I'm creating the one user here, right? So I'm using the password here, password based authentication, right? Authentication features you can see, right? Authentication features, right? There are the multiple authentication features, means database user identifies who is accessing the database. It is verified through a either authentication. There are the multiple authentication methods. Either user can log into the password or SAML2 mechanisms, SSO configuration without password, or SAP logon ticket, or assertion ticket, and X.509 ticket, and Kerberos mechanisms. Kerberos mechanisms here. They are the multiple authentication methods are available here. So that database user identifies who is accessing the database. It is verified through a the process named is called the authentication. How you are authenticating to the your database. In other words, how you are authenticating to the your mobile phone through fingerprints or face recognition, or so without pass security, just swipe in, swipe up or something. So how you are authenticating that authentication methods here, right? They are the multiple authentication methods we have in the database level here, right? So normally it's a database, right? People will use the user ID, password, and forced to change the password here, right? Then forced to change the authentication, right? Forced to change the password here. Then authorization. So if you create the user, then when the user is authenticating the password, but authorizations are very important here. Means authorization, which data, which tab, which one you can able to access. So authorization. To authorize is required when user is using the client interface here. Depending upon the authorizations provided to the user, he or she can perform the database operations, respective database operations. That authorizations are called the privileges. So which means I given the access to the one of the home, but only connected to the home, fine, but you are not authorized to use the, you are not authorized or privileged to use the respective data something in the database level here. I am only creating the user and password, but you have not selected any privileges or authorizations here, right? Example, if you don't select it here, what will happen? So Ravi user got created. Now I am connecting to the database here, different user with Ravi user. Password changed here, right? I connected to the Ravi user here, right? So then if you try to access the administration tab, you are not authorized, you don't have the privileges, you are only authenticated. You are only authenticated here. Suppose example, if you try to see the, so if you try to do something here, you will not able to do something here, but because you are not the authorized person here, you are not authorized person here, right? You don't have the privileges to perform it here, right? Which means you are not authorized, the Ravi user is not authorized to perform any actions in the database level here. That's why we have the authorization concept, means privileges concept in the database level. Privileges here. So authorization, privileges can be granted to the user either directly or indirectly through roles. Directly we can assign to the user, or indirectly via roles also we can assign to the privileges, so that user can access the respective object, respective table, respective data from the database level here, right? That is the when. So when the privileges are found, the use system can able to grant the privileges here, right? They are the multiple privileges or multiple authorizations or privileges, means authorizations are there in the system here. So what are those privileges, right? So list of privileges here. So privileges, there are the list of privileges are there in the database level here. So if you see here, one is the, so system privileges here. System privileges here. It will control the normal system privileges. Normal system privileges means if you directly assign the privileges to the, directly you are assigning the privileges to the users here, which means so creating, managing, monitoring, backups, licensing, administration activities, anything if you want to perform, directly click on the plus button. Directly you can assign the privileges. Suppose like you want to assign the database related privileges, then assign the catalog read to the user. Directly you can assign to the, suppose like is the user you are creating is a monitoring user, then you can assign the monitoring role to the user. Then then the user can able to perform the only monitoring related things. Now he can able to access the respective thing. Ravi user can able to access the respective administration tabs. Respective administration tabs he can able to access here. Why now? Earlier, why not? Which means earlier we have not assigned the monitoring role to the users, monitoring role to the users here. That's the reason, right? So system privileges means system related activities, respective tabs you can able to access system related things here, right? System related things, catalogs and everything you can able to access here, right? That is called the system privileges here, right? Creating, managing, monitoring, backups, licensing, so all those things can be accessible here. Then object privileges here. Object means database level objects, either table or anything. Either create the table, select the table. So to access the table level data, so you can able to we can have to give the access to the respective table only. Suppose like you want to provide the access to the one of the training table, then you can assign the access to the training table only, select statement here. Then the user can able to perform only training related data, he can perform it here, right? Under the catalog, system, table, table, so training. So you can only access the training related data, you can access it here, right? So that's the thing here. Training related data, you can, suppose if you're trying to access the other objects, you will get like insufficient privileges here, right? So that's the thing here, right? Why he is able to access the training? You given the object privilege like particular table. Object means table level access you are giving. System means system level tabs, system level tasks, administration tasks. Inside of the data, we have the data in the form of tables, the table access you are giving. Then we have the object privileges here. Okay, then analytical privileges here. Analytical privileges are used to access the data models calculation. Normally, the developers will use the so developers developer will create the content creations, content privileges, modelers, those things they will be created here. So if you want to provide the access to the that privileges here, these all are the developers created privileges here. If they need access to that privileges here we can use the so these privileges we can use it here, analytical privileges. So analytical, accessing the different parts, analytical privileges, control the individual users. So whatever the developer developed here, the development related analytical privileges, they need access. That access we have to provide to the respective user here. Then package privileges here. Packages are also used to provide it. So here the developer used to create the analytics packages they will create in this content tab. So those things require access to the users only, but because that is developed by other user. But you need access to the other users require the access, then we can just create the so analytics and the packages provide the access to them here. That is called the so content analytical privileges here, right? That is the one thing here. Then application privileges here. HANA, normally HANA, in HANA level, developers will develop the some of the access related extended applications. They will develop it here. So if you need access to that applications, you need to go to the development up extra application privileges, click on the plus symbol, then you can provide the access to the that applications. Just click on the plus, just whatever the application you require that you can just provide the access. Just click on the deploy, then the user the this one assigned to the users here, right? So privilege on users. So whatever the other user, reference users here, it is the SQL privileges which is can be granted by the user on his own user. Attached debugger is only the privilege that will be granted to the users here. Here you can only attach the debuggers. Attach debugger role only we can access it here, right? So this is the one thing here, attach debugger own user debugging related functionalities and everything here, right? So these are the privileges, means authorizations. These are the authorizations we have here, right? So then and also indirectly also we can assign it. Sorry, every user, for every user I need to go to this one, I need to go to this one, all the tabs and assigning means taking time consumption, right? But all these activities can be stored into, can be merged into one role here, that is called the roles. Roles means collection of privileges, collection of system privileges, object privileges, all the privileges are called the one role here. This role directly you can assign to the user, so that instead of working on the all the tabs here directly, you can indirectly you can assign to the user. So which means what will happening here, so role, so so he is the user, right? So he is the user here. This is the role. These are the privileges here. These are the privileges, system privileges, object privileges here. So directly you can assign these privileges to the one user here. Directly you can assign it. Directly you can assign to the user. Otherwise, indirectly also you can assign to the, otherwise indirectly you can assign to the role. This role directly I can assign to the users here, multiple ways. So directly privilege can be assigned to the user, or indirectly via role also we can assign to the user. That's the thing here, right? So but role creation, then so here we can go to the, first of all role should be created here. So roles, there are the multiple roles already there. By default, you will get the multiple roles here, right? Monitoring role, development role, content admin, so metadata role, licensing role. So there are the multiple roles already there. If you want to assign this, sir, you can assign it. You want to create the new role, right click and click on the new roles. Always the new roles will be the chat. Suppose like you are creating the monitoring role. The people wants to perform the monitoring, then you can perform the monitoring role. So what you want to assign, what privileges you want to monitoring, right? So monitoring privileges means whatever directly you are assigning the privileges, that one you can assign here. That one you can assign to the here. That one monitoring, right? Monitoring admin role you can assign to the users here, right? What objects, what tables directly you can assign to the user role, directly can create the role here, right? So whenever you create the new user here, whenever you creating the new technical user, so directly what you can do, directly you can go to the granted roles, directly you can assign to the z underscore role, z monitoring role. Just click on the save button here, automatically he can able to access that role here, right? So that is the one thing here. Okay, so which means directly you can assign the role, granted roles. This role contains what? This role contains the collection of privileges. So which means the privileges directly you can assign to the user, or via role also you can assign to the users. Via role also you can assign to the users here. It's called the role here, right? So they are the standard users. By default it will be created here, which has the super user system. So sys and repo slash underscore sys underscore repo users will be created. Normally we use this technical user system user to log into the system to perform the activities here, right? So normally users also, there are the two types of users here. One is the standard users. This user can create the objects, own schemas, views, and everything here. Second one is the restricted users, restrictions, right? So the humans will log into the real users, which means humans will log into the user ID password. Some users they don't have the passwords, right? That is the main thing here, right? So here ANA level security is the one of the important feature to protecting the sensitive data. To protecting the sensitive data, we require the security. Users and passwords are required, right? As of now you are using the your own system user, default user. If you do something, system user done it. But if I done with the my user, then my name is tracked. Okay, Ravi user done wrongly, so that's the reason they will take the action on the Ravi user. They will take the action on the Ravi user here. That's the thing here, right? So that is the main thing of the here, right? So that's the thing. Why? Because here if you see anywhere, so if you see the anywhere here, so my name also will be displayed here. Why? Because in the system level, not only your user, my session name also will be displayed. See, lot of users names here on our studio, right? You can see already. So multiple user application users already created. They are already working in the system. See, they are already working in the systems. Multiple users are connected to the HANA database. So, right, see, so they are working, but all are using the system user only. But my user, if I am using my own user here, then if I do something, immediately that will be tracked here, right? Then, so in this way, we can secure the HANA database as well here. All the data residing here. So we can secure it here. That purpose we need a roles for HANA database level here, right? This is the roles. Roles means collection of privileges. These roles we can assign to the users. They are the multiple users already here. So here there is a security, such security passwords, restrictions, password. So suppose here it is the auditing. First of all, it's a auditing. So we can also enable the audit policies. Suppose like sometimes the people are doing some deletion, some changes here. I'm going to create the user auditing here. So what are the audit actions means? So if someone delete anything from the data definition, some credentials, anything they delete, otherwise all the functions, all the actions database level someone do it, then that will be deleted. So either successful or unsuccessful. So everything, so either which users, all the users here. I can select the all the users here. So if any user done something immediately, if any user done something here immediately, so that will be tracked here. That will be tracked here. That is the that will be tracked in a log file here. That type of auditing I have enabled here. So password policies, you can see here password policies. So sometimes, so minimum password length 8 characters here, right? If you want to change 9 characters, uppercase, special characters, if you want to keep it, you can keep it here, right? That is applicable for the all the users. So this is like a password restrictions, lock, user lock settings here. So if the lock system user is locked, it will be automatically unlocked after 1 hour. Example, so if 1 hour it is system is due to the multiple incorrect passwords, system user will be locked here. User must change the passwords. Last 5 passwords you should not use it. So minimum password lifetime, maximum password lifetime. So that kind of definitions, and also blacklisted passwords. Some people will keep on using the some standard guessable passwords. That passwords you can blacklist it. If you blacklist that passwords here, what will happen? If you blacklist that password, so users cannot able to so use that word in that password list. Whatever the word you blacklisted, they cannot use that password. That contains, they cannot use these passwords here, right? That is the blacklisted password policies and everything. The SAML providers, data volume encryption. We want to encrypt the data volume, we can also encrypt the data volume. If you don't want to encrypt it, just unselect it here, click on the execute button, then that will be decrypting here, encrypting and decrypting. So why? Because in the data folder level slash in a data level as well, so there is a data security passwords will be stored. So then that decrypting means the passwords, the someone hacks your file systems, your HANA database, they may chances to the hack your systems. That's why we have the decryption passwords available here, right? Here password policies are very important for the organizations. So normally auditing, enabling the auditing and everything, that is also very important thing here. Enable the auditing here. Okay. This is about the security here, right? Provisioning security, these are the thing here, right? So that's the thing. And okay, tomorrow we'll see the HANA upgrade, backups, restore, recovery, and many important topics are there. Those are the very, very important. As of now, the important points which we discussed is HANA installations part, then ANA Studio administration part, Delta Merge, Save Point, ANA licensing, and these things are very important. User creation, no one asked that question. Why? Because it's purely security. But even though we can also perform the users and roles creations, authorizations, and everything. Okay. So tomorrow we'll see the HANA upgrade. Then after that, backups, restore, recovery will go one by one, one by one. Okay. Any questions, anyone?